And I think
I thought
what
one agrees with me.
no, we wanted to have a more in-depth conversation, but because of the tiering and
I
limited time.
appreciate that. Yeah.
But what we're gonna include in the comments.
I think we should leave it the way it was because we don't
It's a
have
weird
time
process.
to do
Your
anything
team
differently.
just wants to have any comments, so people
Oh,
can
I
see
have
this.
plenty of
So
time.
if you get an email me,
I've had
I don't have a
experience.
problem.
Do you have experience?
I don't. But I can. I
I'm gonna
Oh, come on, people. Really?
Can you guys hear us online now? Great, thank you. My apologies. So we'll start with, yes. Whenever you speak, so we have a public speakers list outside, a public session. We've taken notes online on Zoom. We ask that people in attendance come speak to the microphone so that everyone else can hear you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm gonna cut in. I'm gonna
Okay.
cut in. All right, thank you. I'm entitled to my 2 minutes. Steve Simon, I'm the Chair of the Health and Environment Committee. And I'm very pleased that we're able to come together, both of these committees, to address a significant problem, significant issue in the community. And hopefully, as Leo mentioned, we can arrive at a some mutually agreeable solutions. I want to introduce my committee members who are here tonight. My vice chair, O.C. Kamina. My other members, Jacob Banis, Heidi Guzman, Jody Herson, and Carmen Paulino. I want to particularly thank Councilmember De La Rosa and Tanya Bonner, the chair of the Washington Heights Inwood Task Force on Noise, for urging us to hold this hearing and for assisting us in organizing it. So without further ado, let me pass the microphone over to Carmen De La Rosa.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Good evening, everybody. I'm Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa. I'm under the weather, so I apologize, but I'm here. I want to thank Columbia University Medical Center for hosting us. and Community Board 12 for allowing us to be part of this conversation. I also want to thank Tanya Bonner and the Washington Heights Inwood Noise Task Force, as well as everyone that is here today. As a council member, it is important for us to have oversight over what is happening in our community, especially when it deals with city agencies. As you all know, the city council is a checks and balance to our mayor and to our mayoral agencies. And that is why I am here today, because it is important for us as we work on accountability, not only for the agencies that have oversight over our public spaces, but also as a community member and as the council member, our offices field the complaints from the community, both from the business sector, which I understand in this moment is suffering. We have seen the high vacancy rates in our community. Every time that a small business shutters its doors, puts down its gates, that is a loss for our community. And I want to acknowledge that right up front every single time. And every single time that there is a community member that is unable to carry on with their daily tasks, with their sleep, with their work, with living in the community, it is also an issue. So that is with the spirit and the intention that we are here today, to find solutions to the problems of our open spaces. We have some partner agencies that are here with us today. DOT is here, and they'll introduce themselves in a little while. As you all know, the Department of Transportation has jurisdiction over our public plazas. And they also are the managers for the operators of our public plazas. In our community, we have a number of public plazas. We have Quisqueya Plaza on Dykeman Street, which has an operator, but also is under the jurisdiction of the DOT and has other partners involved in the operationalizing of the plaza. And that is important information that I hope tonight we can all clarify for folks. What is everyone's role? That is important in us carrying this information forward. We have Plaza Las Americas on 175th Street, right by my office, 175th and Broadway. Also has an operator, also under the jurisdiction of DOT, right by United Palace, which is also a cultural institution that has its own private events. We have Haven Plaza, which is right here, right in front, also has its operator, also right in front of a neighborhood institution. And we have the plaza on 168th Street, which is the newest plaza. We all know it, 165th Street, which is right next to the Alianza Cultural Center, which to my knowledge right now does not have an operator, but is a public plaza nonetheless. So we are here tonight to listen to your concerns. Many of the concerns that we will listen to here and give the platform to share on, I obviously have heard as a council member. This is not the first time hearing it, but it is important for us to hold these conversations with transparency and in public so that we can all hear what solutions can come out of them. I also want to say that my office has taken the initiative to meet with area residents in smaller private meetings with especially Quisqueya Plaza, given the number of complaints and concerns that have come up. I want to thank Victor Santos, who's here from Quisqueya Plaza, and is here to answer questions, I'm sure, and is here to collaborate and has been coming to those meetings as well. And the reason that we've been having those meetings, and the reason I'm addressing it is because we've been asked about it, is because we thought that it was important. While these are wider settings where we can have larger conversations, it is important to deal block by block with the issues that impact residents that live across the street or on top of the plazas. We've also had a number of folks reach out that live across the street from the 175th Street Plaza. We've held those conversations as well, and we will continue to do so. And so we are here with the spirit of solutions. Many community members have brought great solutions to the table in my time having these conversations. The businesses have changed some of the practices based on the feedback that the community has given. More could always be done, and that's why we're here tonight. I want to say that I'm the council member for everybody in this room, whether you're a resident of this community or whether you're a business owner in this community. I have the task of representing all of us. And so it is important for us to understand that although there are differences in opinion, while there might be differences in procedure and protocol, we're all here for the same solution, to make sure that all of us can continue to enjoy our community in a safe way. Our public spaces are sacred. If the pandemic taught us nothing else, it is that for us city dwellers, our public spaces are sanctuaries for us to also spend time outside and connect with our community. And so we want to continue to have public spaces that are safe, public spaces that are conducive to the health and environment of our community, and also that help our small businesses come together. Each and every one of these plazas has a different origin story. Each and every one of this plaza has a different operational protocol. And so tonight, I hope that we also can get answers on all of that. Thank you all for the opportunity, and I'm here to answer questions, and I'll be here the whole night. Thank you.
I have the first question. I thought we also had a plaza on Post Avenue at 207.
We do. We also have, I missed that one. We have a plaza on 207 and Post Avenue.
Right, okay.
Correct.
All right, very good. And let me mention that we also have representatives attending tonight from Borough President Levine's office and Assembly Member Manny De Los Santos' office.
So prior to us starting, we want all the panelists to introduce themselves, and the committee members for both committees to introduce yourself. I also want to introduce Chair Catherine Diaz, who joined us as well. Catherine runs a lot of our work, so well, Catherine. And thank you to our board office who does a lot of the legwork to get these things going and facilitate the hearings. So thank you guys. We'll start on this end with Tanya, and you can come to the mic. You guys want to come to the mic so you can hear? If not, just project your voice. We don't have that. Sorry about that.
I'm Tanya Bonner. I'm Chair of Wahi and Wood Task Force on Noise. OC Commoner.
You are.
Assistant.
You are also. You're part of the panelists.
OC Commoner, Assistant to the Health and Environment Committee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carmen Paulino. I'm the Vice Chair of Traffic and Transportation Committee.
And a member of the Health and Environment Committee.
Yes.
And a member of the Health and Environment Committee.
And the Community Task Force. That's out of order.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Gorman. I work at the Department of Transportation on the Public Realm team. We provide oversight and management of our nearly 100 pedestrian plazas across New York City, working in close coordination with a few of our plaza partners that are here tonight, as well as with all people who live and do business and visit New York City. So excited for the conversation tonight. Thank you so much for having us. And I'm joined by my colleague, Lyle Blackwood, who is the representative for this part of Manhattan when it comes to all things DOT. Thank you.
And we have some guests online. I see Humberto Galarza from DEP. Humberto, if you don't mind introducing yourself, please.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Umberto Galarza, New York City Department of Environmental Protection, Community Affairs. Pleasure to be here. Thank you all.
We have Andrew Kittredge from Beta NYC.
Hi, everyone. Andrew Kittredge. I work at a nonprofit called Beta NYC. We're a public interest technology nonprofit. We built the board stat tool, which some of you may be familiar with.
Inspector John Portalatin from the 33rd precinct, 34th precinct. No problem.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for not being there in present. Right now, I got the duty, which means I'm responsible for all Manhattan North. I am the commanding officer of the 34th precinct. I'm in charge of all the plazas in my confines of my precinct, and I'm happy to be here, part of this, and happy to answer any and all questions that you have for me tonight.
Thank you. Do we have anybody from the 33rd precinct? Okay. Tanya, I will refer. Share this. Robin, can you see that on your end?
Yeah.
Are they? Okay. Robin, can you see the shared screen on your end?
No.
Oh, I did probably got to share the screen. Oh, yeah, you have to share.
No.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Bonner, and I'm the chair of the Wahi Inwood Task Force on Noise, the organization that requested this hearing today. We are a community-founded and run advocacy group pushing for the reduction of noise pollution in our community of Washington Heights and Inwood since 2020. Due to demand from residents in other boroughs of the city, we've expanded to include a citywide group called NYC United Against Noise. As I mentioned, our task force was launched back in 2020, when this community was noted in the media as having the most noise complaints among all the community districts in the city. We held a public hearing in August of 2020 that many of those who may be joining us today also attended. The passionate pleas of more than 400 who attended that public hearing on noise were clearly stated. But were you heard? 5 years later, may I have everybody's attention? I appreciate it. As a community, we're gonna do that today. Thank you. But were they heard? 5 years later, we are still here with the same problems around noise. While this hearing today specifically focuses on noise issues in the ever-growing list of public plazas being installed in this community, the roots of these issues are the same. 1, lack of accountability and agency and political finger-pointing instead of collectively coming up with solutions. 2, lack of enforcement of the city's noise code during events that violate allowed noise decibel levels. 3, disregard for the well-being and quality of life of our residents. 4, too many politically connected businesses on the plazas being allowed to skirt the noise code and permit requirements. 5, deliberate bypassing of and non-existing engagement by plaza managers with the surrounding communities to ensure continued quality of life for residents. Inappropriate events that rival the Beyonce Cowboy Carter tour with its audio-visual equipment that have no place being used in public spaces adjacent to residential areas. 0 use of the provided decibel readers by the NYPD to determine immediately on site of events violating the noise code. And last, lack of issuance of summonses for plaza noise violations. Our community of Washington Heights and Inwood has a total of 6 plazas. 6. 6 plazas, 5 permanent and another in pilot stage, though from what I'm hearing, it's already been pushed through in the permanent. The only communities in Manhattan that have as many as that are in heavily commercial districts, areas like Times Square and Flatiron. Nobody is asking for all of these plazas. This is pure attempts by DOT. This is pure attempts by DOT at privatization of our public streets for political and financial gain. If you had any doubts that this was DOT's intent, you definitely missed DOT's hearing in April on its proposal to amend Title 34 of the rules of the City of New York to allow for the designation of areas of DOT pedestrian plazas and open streets for the exclusive use of private patrons. This basically would allow the plaza managers, such as the Dyckman Gardens Corporation at Cascade Plaza, who also own major restaurants there, to deny others in the community access to this public space. This proposed rule change would only intensify this already concerning relationship between the managers of the plaza and political officials and create an even wider chasm between the politically connected plaza managers and the surrounding community. The plazas in our community are already run like an exclusive club based on political connections and do not offer activities that speak to the wider diversity of the community. Our public streets will not be privatized. And unlike the current, unlike the current presidential administration, our task force believes in science, especially the science that shows that excessive noise is a public health issue. Noise contributes to and exacerbates a wide variety of physical conditions such as lack of sleep, hypertension, and cardiovascular difficulties, as well as aggravating existing mental health conditions. All stakeholders should care about that. While we understand that each public plaza has its own unique sets of managers, issues, and routes in the community, the lack of accountability and addressing of noise issues within them are the same. To this end, the Noise Task Force is proposing the following to alleviate noise issues at the public plazas. 1, do not make the Audubon Plaza permanent and remove it from the residential streets, and no more public plazas in this community. On behalf of the task force, I have asked the city's 311 system to include public plazas in the noise location category so that residents' complaints about the plazas can be appropriately documented. It currently doesn't, and this needs to be changed. Sorry, I'm going to advance my screen here. The noise code needs to be updated to include rules around decibel levels at public plazas, the use of amplified sound, and time restrictions. There needs to be restrictions on the frequency of events at public plazas. People live, work, sleep, and convalesce here. They need their residential communities to be areas that support that. Every Saturday and every Sunday and every weekday or multiple weekdays a week is not appropriate. There are clubs for that. The use of amplified sound should be severely limited, both in duration and frequency. The community needs to be informed of any pending permits requesting the use of amplified sound to provide an opportunity to object or ask questions. Managers of public plazas should not have any political or financial connection to elected officials or city agencies that stand to benefit from that connection. The surrounding community should have a say in who manages the plazas around their homes. This includes advance notice of any applicants to manage a plaza, and there should be designated regular meetings between the managers and the community to regularly address any issues around noise. Public plazas should face fines or even closure if they continually violate the city's noise code. The NYPD needs to carry calibrated decibel readers provided by NYC DEP, which is Department of Environment Protection, when responding to all plaza complaints. Yeah. If the NYPD doesn't have these readers, DEP should provide them. There should be no plaza events that come from the top at DOT and bypass the scrutiny of the NYPD. How people can submit complaints about city plazas should be clearly posted at each site. It is our expectation that this meeting would allow everyone who wishes to be heard, that we are provided with concrete answers to our questions, and are given a firm commitment with deliverables to working with the task force and the community at large to enact our recommendations for change. I would like to thank Steve Simon and Leo Jimenez, chairs of Community Board 10 of Manhattan's Health and Environment Committee and Traffic and Transportation Committee, for co-chairing this public hearing this evening. I'd also would like to thank Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa for agreeing to co-sponsor this event along with the task force. I just want to go back to a slide that I showed. This shows the number of plazas in New York City. And as you can see, the ones that are highlighted are the ones that are in our community, except it doesn't include Audubon because that, well, I don't know what stage it's in. Maybe it's been pushed through already. But you can see we have a ton of plazas in our community, in our very small community. And I don't understand why we keep adding them. We have a myriad amount of space, parks, beautiful parks, other cultural events where people can go for free even to get cultural enrichment, to get recreation, to engage in community. We do not need any more privatization of our streets, any more public plazas. Thank you. Sorry for going on my.
Yes. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. All right, so we have a public session sign up. We have closed it as of 15 minutes ago, I believe. So we'll start with the people in the room. You each will have 2 minutes. Please, let's stick to that time. We're not trying to be here all night. Woman. So this is volunteer on our end. So 2 minutes, we'll call you 3 at a time, and then we'll transition to Zoom.
Who's talking? If anyone is speaking right now, we're not hearing it. And if people could enunciate, that would be great.
Yeah, no one is speaking right now.
Okay, great.
We have a little break in the action, trying to pull together the speakers list.
Okay, so we'll queue up the first three people, Migdalia Quiñones, Maria Rodriguez, and Yudelka. I can't see your last name, but Yudelka. Masos, I'm sorry. Guys, come. You have 2 minutes. Yes. Are you there?
Am I third?
Yeah, you're fourth. All right, you guys have 2 minutes. This one.
You can stop sharing the screen.
My question is for the Department of DOT.
All right, I need some silence.
My question is for the Department of DOT. Now that you've heard Tanya talk about all the things that is wrong, what is it that you're gonna propose to make it right? Because you always have a pencil look when I look at you. It's like, so I just wanna know, what is it that you're going to help to mitigate and change to work with the community to make it right? Because it really falls on you in terms of how things go, since you're gonna be in business with restaurant owners. What is it you're gonna do to help the community in all that was said today? That's the question.
And we're gonna have the panelists address after the public session. So a lot of you guys will want to make sure that they provide insight and reasoning.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yudelka and I live in Argent Street by Quisqueya Plaza. I understand your concerns of music and everything, but I consider Quisqueya Plaza a cultural place where people could learn about different cultures from around the world. And also, they do not only cultural, but also exercise, like aerobics, yoga, and also there's different events, health and wellness events. Yes, I understand that the sound's making loud, but we don't finish the sounds on that late at night. We finish like at 6. So I consider Quisqueya Plaza a great place for people to get distracted after a long week and also a heavy winter and fall. It's just a cultural place where you learn everything about music and everything. And also I consider also the people in the restaurants are hardworking people. During the winter and fall, they lose a lot of money. And like the summer is like the only time where people, they could work and get their money work. So like, it's just a cultural place that I wish that the committee consider that to keep their permission. That'll be all.
Thank you. Right. Maria Rodriguez, Ted Gallagher, Isidro Medina.
No, we have to pin ourselves so that it can replace. Noemi, could we do replace pin? Maybe, no. It should be. Oh, here's the owl. Here it is. Let me remove this one.
There we go. You have 2 minutes. What do you want to speak? Let him somebody.
Good evening. I live in Impact Zone. My name is Ted Gallagher, and I have lived in Inwood since 1982. Community groups in Inwood have tried for years to reason with the Dyckman Club owners who control the outdoor concert events at Quisqueya Plaza. We have not succeeded in getting the owners to control the noise they create in violation of the New York Noise Code. I recommend the following. 1, move the events to the Dyckman baseball fields along the river in Inwood Hill Park. Noise produced there for 8 consecutive hours is less likely to cause public health harm. If the mayor and the club owners refuse to move the events, then limit the events to 1 day only per week. Currently, the club owners hold events on consecutive days. Limit the event's duration to 5 hours only, not 8 hours, as is normally the case, and end the events by 8 p.m. Limit the number of events to 2 days per month. Provide advance notice, as was said. Instruct the NYPD to issue violations, as was said. In closing, who are these owners? Why do their private profits take precedence over our public health? We need responsive government intervention. We cannot continue to live like this. Do not pigeonhole this. We are a community of cultures. Residents do more than just complain. I personally have joined other residents who collected signatures on a petition to control the noise in Inwood. I knocked on every apartment door on Dyckman Street between Vermilion Avenue and Broadway. I collected 57 signatures, almost all from Dominican families. Inwood residents deserve better than to have our health damaged by commercial interests out for profit. We deserve better from you. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank the committee, Councilwoman Canela Rosa, and the board for saying so. This is a really important matter to the community, and I'm happy to address you. I am the executive director and also president of the Washington Heights Business Improvement District. I'm also the chair of the licensing committee, vice chair of the Inwood Merchant Association, and co-chair of the Small Business Alliance for the VA's office of mine. Although I hear all this criticism about public entities, that in true essence, if you think about it, when we have open plazas, you heard already the story about having different activities for kids. Our kids need to have the exposure running outside the plaza. I do agree that if you do create noise, the enforcement must be there 24/7. From a chair perspective of the community board licensing committee, I can say that we have tried to mitigate some noise problems, especially coming from our restaurants. The same thing can be accomplished if we work together. This is a community that is very healthy in the sense that we can work together, and I'm looking forward to see how we can be part of the solution in overcoming problems that might be otherwise not addressed in other communities. We are united. I don't think that this is a critical problem that we cannot solve. And I'm here once again to say I'm part of the solution, not part of the problem. I will say that small businesses identify who we are as a community. And if one business closes down, a lot of employees are going to be let go. And that's going to have an economic effect on how well we stay as a community. From an economic perspective, some of our small businesses are closing down for many, many different reasons, but not for noise alone. So I highly recommend that we work together as we have for many, many years. We have so many things that are working so good for our community. Let's not make this a cultural problem because it is not. Let's work on the different issues that we should address. But again, I highly recommend that if an activity is supposed to shut down at 8, it should be shutting down at 8 and not at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm looking forward to working together with the committee. Thank you so much.
All right, if you're the next week, Nabi Todd, Tony Peralta, and Reynaldo Duran. You guys could come here.
Hello, I'm Maggie Clark, PhD in environmental science, former CUNY professor, resident of Inwood, 4 blocks from the Plaza for 46 years, president of the Ring Garden for 35 at its current location, and I'm speaking on my own behalf. The so-called nonprofit group, consisting of for-profit restaurants the DOT appointed to control the public space, has repeatedly violated the noise code, causing thousands of people within a 4-block radius to hear the DJs for hours on end every weekend during the summer and warmer months. I've measured the decibel levels between 85 and 90 on several occasions, and that is damaging to hearing. They violated SLA and COVID requirements during the height of the pandemic, cramming people into the tables and chairs. The governing group there doesn't give advance warning to the public when it plans to unleash this damaging noise. That has made it almost impossible for the Ring Garden to schedule our own community events. And when their events have overlapped with ours, we can't hear each other. This so-called nonprofit is only interested in activities that will increase their for-profit restaurant business. The Ring Garden has been forced to have events like our 40th anniversary celebration to be in the morning. We haven't had as many of our own events as we want because of the noise level. We consider it a service to the community to have educational and cultural events and have done so since 1990. But this so-called nonprofit that occupies the plaza never invited the actual nonprofit, the Ring Garden, to participate in programming. Once I was asked if there was anything they could do for us. I asked for the volume to be turned down. I was flatly told no. Why does noise have to be heard beyond the boundaries of the plaza? Their only interest is monetary. The city government has failed the neighborhood.
Hello, good evening. This is my first time here, so I should get a little bit more time. It's a joke, sir. I'm a resident born and raised in Washington Heights. I live in Inwood, been living in Inwood for 25 years. It's interesting. There's always been the theme of noise when it comes to Washington Heights. You know what I'm saying? I see that as code word. But anyway, I agree with, there are too many plazas we could do without the one in 207. That's gonna be that's a fact. I mean, when those buildings open up, it's gonna be a nightmare. I think that I love the plaza on Dykeman, right? It reminds me of the 90s. And it reminds me, it's just, I love seeing my community there. I love seeing the older folks there and all that. Right? But look, I also think that it could be curated, right? I think that there's a lot of things that can be done, really cool stuff, really, look, I'm an artist. A lot of people don't know. If you don't know who I am, if you walk, Tony Peralta, if you walk down 168th Street, that mural, that was me, right? Thank you, right? You know, again, this is the first time I've been here, and I just want, you know, like what I notice about Washington Heights and Inwood, I just see it kind of dying. Like our community, you know, this community is not really going to exist in the next 10 to 15 years. You know, for Parkview to go out of business is very sad. You know what I'm saying? So, again, there are things that could be curated. I think that, you know, and curated and done with taste. You know what I'm saying? When I see that plaza, I imagine there being a silent disco. Look, I understand the idea of noise complaints and things like that. And that was a great idea that you had about doing it on Dykeman Fields. But also, real quick, you know, when those things were happening in La Marina, people were complaining about that. So look, we live in New York City, like what's the deal with, everything is noisy here. Anyway, I mean, look, I guess you guys want a quiet library in a dark room, I understand. But anyway, thank you guys very much. I'm gonna ask that we refrain from commenting. We're gonna allow everybody their 2 minutes. Everybody has their opinions. Well, we can have discussions after the hearing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reynaldo Duran. I'm a chess teacher. And I have been working in the Quisqueya Plaza for 2 years, teaching kids, teaching adults. I would consider that this is really important for us to keep the place. So it's really important. I hope this summer we can continue with the events and represent the kids and some adults that like to practice chess. It's very important. Thank you.
We'll have Jennifer Bristol, Victor Santos, and Annette Fernandez.
Thank you. I'll watch you on YouTube all the time.
Well, welcome.
I've been since COVID. Hi there. My name is Jennifer Bristol. I'm here to represent the Ring Garden that Maggie mentioned earlier. I'm on the board, been on the board for a couple of years and very invested in the garden. It's a very big deal for our community. It provides so much. We need to reduce the decibel levels because we have not been able to provide any programming that we would like because we have. And then there was loud music that we were not aware of and we couldn't have that event. It's prevented us from putting our shed together because the handyman who was hired to do it couldn't handle the music. Even with his sound headphones, could not work. So I think that the garden would be happy and the members if we can have legal decibels, sound levels, in addition to a very straightforward schedule. That's all we're asking. We would like to schedule our 40th anniversary party and not be concerned if there's going to be a big concert and then our celebration is muted. As a resident of the neighborhood for over 25 years, I enjoy the plaza. I think it's wonderful to have public space. I also think it's important for it to be clean and to be safe, which it hasn't been for a very long time. There have been broken pieces of art that Art the Dan guy did to celebrate Valentine's Day. And that was broken due to a windy thing and there were exposed nails hanging out there for months. And the only reason they cleaned it was because of, sadly, the memorial for the accident, the tragedy in the Dominican Republic. They did clean it up for that. And in regards to programming that someone mentioned, which is great, I have not seen them do anything public programming except for music since the first year. They don't do yoga. They don't do anything outside of hosting parties. So that's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before Victor goes, when speaking about specific plazas, please mention the name. Again, we're having discussion on all plazas, but we want to know what plaza you are talking about.
Hi, my name is Victor Santos. I'm the executive director for Dyckman Gardens, also a community member. I'm here to speak today in regards to everything that we've done. We've done meetings with the direct neighbors, with Councilmember De La Rosa, where we have addressed a lot of the issues that the community has. We've compromised on a lot of the things for this year. As you mentioned, the hours, we did compromise for them to end at 8 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. You said 5 hours, we did it from 2 to 8, which is 6 hours. And the events are only on Sundays. There are events that happen in that plaza that we have no control whatsoever. People that come, it's a public plaza. People come in from the public and do things in that plaza. All the events that Dyckman Gardens does in that plaza are all permitted. So you could go on SAPO. I don't know if somebody from SAPO is here, but I'm not sure how the public can see it. but I'm sure the community board can see it. You can call the community board. You'll see all the permits that we have there. Also, we did speak with the commander. We made some compromises with the commander as well about enforcement in the plaza moving forward for this year. The council member added us to the what is it called? The discretionary funding. It's been a little battle since this is the first year that we get it. But we are gonna get there. We will have more programming such as the yoga and the chess classes, the dance classes, and all that other stuff over there. Also, we did have a meeting with DOT after the meeting that we had with the community, where we agreed that we're gonna be bringing in a dumpster, we're gonna power wash the plaza, we're gonna make it more accessible, where we're gonna move some plants around, reconfigure some of the plaza around, so it was easier for you guys to enjoy the plaza and also bring in some more chairs and tables. I'm here to the end of the night. If anybody has any questions for me, I'll be sitting over there, right? Yeah. Or at the end. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Annette Fernandez. I'm born and raised here in Washington Heights. I'm raising my daughter here. I've been living on the same block since 1974. It's on the east side of Washington Heights, and it's pretty noisy. Like motorbikes and merengue and high decibels. So I have compassion for the folks that are stressed out about the noise. And at the same time, I feel like using words like control and pointing your fingers at elected officials is quite inappropriate. At the end of the day, we're all residents of this community. I have every right to my opinion, as well as you do. And as a matter of fact, I spend a lot of money shopping locally as well. A lot. Because I don't purchase things from Amazon or Target. I actually go out of my way to spend my dollars in my community. And I actually heard in the United States of America, where capitalism reigns, I guess I have a huge say since I'm spending my money here. But I don't have a say because I don't own my apartment. And that, my friends, is a huge difference in Washington Heights. And I want us to all think about that when we're using words like control. Because ultimately, the control is in the hands of the constituency. At least that's the last I checked. So I'll ask us to consider the nuanced energy that it takes to have these conversations when there are so many competing diversity dimensions. Financial diversity dimensions, which is why some people need to be outside. They have more people living in their homes than you do. So that's, and the last thing I'll say is culturally, and there are many of us that come from places where plazas, and I'll remind the Europeans of that, plazas were important for community, for organizing, for making change. That's from Italy to Spain to Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Cuba. Thank you.
All right, we'll have Elizabeth DeMayo, Rosal Semi, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, and Sandra Jaques.
After I speak, may I give to the DOT people so they understand? Thank you. Hi, my name is Liz DeMayo. I've been in the neighborhood since 1993. I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, about decibels. 85 decibels, which we are now begging to reduce the noise to 85 decibels. That is the level of a power lawnmower or a jackhammer 50 feet away. If anything, it is way too much for a public plaza 30 feet from people's windows. There is no need ever for that type of decibel level. Hearing loss, cultural things, whether you like the music or not, it doesn't matter. You're gradually sustaining hearing loss once you're at 85 decibels. I'm mentioning an article, Auditory Stress, Implications for Kenneled Dog Welfare. Recorded sound levels in a kennel range between 85 and 122. This was the range at the event for Earth Day, ironically, at the Plaza. Someone got 117 decibels. Sound levels, exposure to these high levels of sound puts both animals and humans at risk for damage to their hearing, may result in decreased quality and quantity of sleep. Given the risks associated with noise distress, it is important to consider ways to minimize kennel noise. So people are worrying about dogs and their exposure to noise. I guess in Inwood, we rank a little bit below dogs. I would also like to point out that there's a lot of other businesses besides bars. We seem to be losing those businesses in Inwood too, the non-bars. And this street is now noisy enough that many businesses would not be able to rent there and function. Please reduce this sound and consider our neighbors. And I'm sorry that Sapo is not here, but I think there's a reason for that. It's not an OPOC process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And I'm just.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Jacquez, and I am the owner of El Soleil Restaurant, which is located on Dykeman, which is right in front of Quisqueya Plaza. I wasn't going to speak this evening, but I came up because of certain things that I heard. I'm not one to be 100% in favor of the plaza, and a lot of people know, because the plaza, as a lot of you think, we are profiting from this plaza, which is completely not the case. This plaza was brought on to us because of COVID, and it was a lifeline for us during COVID, because obviously restaurants were hurt the most during COVID. During the shutdown, we weren't able to have our patrons inside. So these plazas came about to help our restaurants so we could accommodate people outside. The plaza has now become a permanent plaza. It has taken away from our everyday patrons because we're not accessible. But with that said, that does not mean that this plaza, the restaurant owners are benefiting from them. That is not true. We have all come together with Victor and Susana to try to bring a community together. There has been jazz, there has been salsa classes, there has been Zumba classes, chess classes, everything you can imagine for the community we have done in this plaza. Sundays, we all came together as restaurant owners to bring music to this plaza. So we could try to bring people to the plaza to come in together, enjoy, and then afterwards maybe patronize us. Guess what? We are the ones funding this. It's from our money that we have these events. We have worked with the community. We have worked with the people in charge of the noise. We've had numerous sit downs and conversations to see how we could all come together, because we are not here to make the quality of life harmful for anyone. I was born and raised a couple of blocks from there. I am from Post Avenue. This is my neighborhood. There's nothing more that I want for this community to thrive. But guess what? Guess what's happening? We are all being, unfortunately, closed down. And who's coming in? It's not people like us. It's not people that show our essence. It's these corporations that are now taking over, and this is what's going to happen. So I implore everyone, let's have conversations. Let's sit down. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're not here to make quality of life harmful for anyone. No, we're here to work together and everyone come up with a solution. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be up the next three. Jeanette Duran, Tim Faso, and Amaury Bonilla. So Jeanette Duran, Tim Faso, and Amaury Bonilla.
Sweet and short. Mine is sweet and short. My name is Jeanette. I am from Inwood. I fully support the Plaza on Dyckman Street and Broadway.
Sorry, Jeanette, you could just move in just a bit.
Here. I start again?
Yeah, start.
All right. My name is Jeanette. I live in Inwood. I fully support the Plaza on Dyckman Street and Broadway because it is an open space that gives back to our community. It is the key open space to access to all, especially to those olders, olders and on a wheelchair, and simply cannot go downtown or elsewhere to enjoy themselves in the plaza. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Amaudi Bonilla. I'm a proud father of a 5-year-old daughter who's about to be 6 years old. Her name is Melina. I grew up in the Bronx in a very predacious environment. I was always told that it takes a village to raise a child, right? And I wanted the best for my daughter, right? I wanted the best for my daughter, and I decided to move to Inwood, right? And don't get me wrong, I understand all the concerns with, you know, the noise levels and stuff like that, right? But this is our safe haven, right? This is, the people in this community have become my family members. They all know my daughter, they love her, she loves them, and we look forward to every summer going there and enjoying ourselves. Contrary to Dean, when we were out, I mean, there was just gunshots, people dying and stuff like that. I can go to Plaza Quisqueya and relax with an abundance of different cultures together, right? But let's work on a solution, right? But let's not take away from what's already designed, you know, to break these family circles. Families are shrinking and we're developing new families, all right? So I would definitely love to, like, you know, hear the concerns and come together and meet on common grounds. But understand this is our—
Gail, did you get the name of the last speaker, was that Suzanne, who owns a lot of the
I'm
restaurants?
sorry, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
So thank you once again for allowing me the opportunity to come up here and share this, man. And those who haven't been to Plaza Quisqueya, come there and see what it's about. All right, thank you and have a blessed evening.
So we'll try Tim Faso one more time. Erasmo Silverio and Carolina John. Carolina Jose.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erasmo Silverio. I'm a singer and pro supporter of culture. I'm strongly opposed, like, proposal of, like, eliminate this kind of event in Quisqueya Plaza. This place is beautiful for Dominican and Latino community. Cultural activities held there celebrate our roots and promote unity, art, and community life. Thank you.
Good evening, buenas noches. Thank you so much for having this platform. I've been kind of waiting to do something like this for a while. It's my first time in this type of setup, so please bear with me. My name is Caroline Jose. I'm a Washington Heights native, grew up in D6, so District 6 for your schools. I represent the President's Council for District 6. I am the president. I'm also the mother of 2 children who are being raised in some very, very sketchy spaces. And unfortunately, these plazas, not the ones that are celebrating and encouraging our children, but the ones where we see drugs, where we see trash, where we see fights, where we see violence. We need to do better with what we're doing with these plazas. I'm a New York City ambassador reader for New York City Reads, and I did a wonderful event with FACE, which is a community space in Quisqueya Plaza, and I thought to myself, why can't this be in every plaza? We need to work hard for our children. They're facing many, many challenges right now. And the last thing they need is to see their plazas turn into something demoralized. Let's work hard, let's work together. We hear complaints all day today But where are the solutions? Where's the unity? We need to work on that. I just wanted to give a couple of points before my time is up. Here are some suggestions. We have to prioritize quiet zones near the schools. Some of our schools are actually across the street from smoke shops. Those smoke shops kids go to, believe it or not. And then they're smoking in front of the kids. They also attract noise from vehicles. Music is being blasted while ELA exams are being taken. What exactly are we doing as the grown-ups? So I ask you, what part are you playing in this role? Thank you for your time, and everyone have a great night.
We'll have Lisa Rosari and Paul Hintersteiner and Bennett Melsack.
So my name is Lisa Rosari and I live in Dykeman since '96. And I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. And I want to address the concern regarding Quisqueya Plaza and the vibrant energy it brings to our community. Quisqueya Plaza is more than just a location. It's a cultural hub that reflects diversity and spirit of the neighborhood. It serves as a gathering place for families and friends and visitors, for fostering connections and celebrating our rich heritage. One thing that I want to mention is, could we all come together as a community instead of pointing fingers, and we could come up with a plan so everybody could be happy and respect the community and respect the vendors and our businesses around the community. Everybody's closing. We have 5 businesses closing right now. It's gonna be affecting people's job. The strip looks very sad right now. If you walk around Dykeman, it's not happy anymore. It's closed. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Excuse me, everybody has a chance to speak. Thank you.
No questions about the type of stuff. Thank you.
My name is Paul Hintersteiner. I know about park concerts because my father and mother and I used to work park concerts in the 80s when we had that Ann Loftus Park right across that section. So it was at night until about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we closed. And it was for the community, for the public. But the thing is now, all this noise, I live at Fort George Hill. My windows face the subway, Dykeman Street subway, and all up Inwood. And I get all this noise from down there all the time, all summer long, when they have the loudspeakers and everything, cars coming up there, everything. It echoes up to my place. I'm on the 16th floor, and I get all the decibels coming up to our thing. It just so vibrates all the way up the hill. I'm not against park concerts. I'm not against anything like that, but there should be a limit to the decibel systems and everything else, because it's killing our apartment people because we're getting so much noise at night from them. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bennett Melzak. I'm a retired clinical social worker. I certainly am aware of the problems of too much noise. I've lived on Broadway in Dykeman for 73 years, and the community plaza was supposed to be a public space. It was never supposed to be a privatized space. I love Il Soleil. It's a wonderful jazz place. It doesn't disturb the neighborhood at all. The problem is really loud noise on an extended basis, which there's no real reason for, because again, that community plaza was supposed to be a public plaza, not a commercial space. Thank you.
And to round up the people in person, Dana Ronson and Annie Santiago.
Hi, my name's Dan Aronson. I've been a resident here since '88. The plaza was a solution to a problem that didn't need to be solved. It's the wrong location for what they had. They have a location, and the gentleman that was here, I've been here for decades. It's always been an N Loftus. They have a stage. They have electricity. They have bathrooms, they have a place to put trash, and they have seating. This was imposed on us because of COVID. It was for the restaurants, they needed to stay open. That's done with. There's no other businesses that get this kind of courtesy. It's not about closing down for the cultures. We had a cultural center right across the street. It's still near the BX7, the M100 stop. It's on the A train entrance. It's the location you need to be in. There's no. I'm going to back up Maggie Clark. I was opening the Ring Garden just to have people come in when the plaza was there. When they had events, the trash would be thrown in. I personally called the Department of Health and spoke to the ecology department. Guy came in. We got rid of all the mosquitoes there. We don't have to have mosquitoes there, but because of the trash that gets thrown in there, the plaza does get cleaned up, but around the perimeter, this is a nonprofit that doesn't have the manpower to go clean up after the plaza all the time. And the mosquitoes are a health problem. The noise is a health problem. You can't hear yourself think. When I'd open it up, people would be taking all the chairs out of there. Whether you get more chairs or not isn't the problem. People are just going to wander in and take chairs. And it's a public urination place. You can't control that garden. People come in one end or another and just use it for public urination. There are very few times that they have events there, that they have porta potties for anybody. There's not ample places for trash. I was told by people when I refused them access to the park, they said, oh, the restaurants won't allow us to use it because we're not buying drinks there. We're sitting somewhere else. It's just ridiculous. The gas station closes its bathroom because the bathroom closes its bathroom because they can't work. And Loftus has the facility. It's got the infrastructure, the stage, the electricity, the bathrooms, and the seating.
Time constraint.
Hi, good evening. My name is Annie Santiago. I'm here from Nuevo Siglo. I am located at 213 Sherman Avenue. Nuevo Siglo is an adult daycare center. I invite all of you to come to 213 Sherman Avenue. At 5 p.m., it's very loud there, and we're nowhere near the plaza at all. The plaza is open once a week. By the Department of Aging, we're an adult daycare center, and I am required to have a place for my elderly to go when I am not open. And the plaza is that place where they go. They go and they go there for free events where they're not charged. They go there, that if you look up the New York City Department of the Aging, I am required by law to have a place for them to go somewhere when Nuevo Siglo is not open. And the plaza is that place. One of my seniors had a stroke, and he lives 2 blocks away from the plaza. And the plaza is only open on Sundays. And this is where the place where he's gonna go on Sundays to hear the music, which is closes at 8 p.m. However, the noise in Inwood is not coming from the plaza. It's nowhere at all coming from the plaza. I am not nowhere near this plaza. I am located in 213 Sherman Avenue, and at 5 p.m., I hear the same noise that you're hearing. And it's not coming from the plaza. This noise that you're saying, I heard someone say, I'm talking about auditory stress. Auditory stress can come from a gunshot. And guess what I hear all the time in Inwood? Gunshots from one time. So our problem is not coming from the plaza. As a team, we should come together and find the root of the problem, which is not coming from the plaza at all. So we should come together and continue this plaza, which is only once a week, and it's only during the summertime. It's not during the entire year. So we are focusing on the wrong time. So are we doing this because to take away from what's the root problem? We should focus on the main issue, which is not the plaza.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll transition to Zoom. Carmen, promote them to panelists, I guess, and unmute them. When the 2 minutes is up, let's mute them so we can move this along. It's now 8:30, and we want to have discussion items, the panelists, committee members, just to see where we can come up with solutions. So, we'll start with Tina Bursted, Bursted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for doing this meeting and for letting me speak. I've lived in Inwood since '98. I live close to Quisqueya Plaza. This is my community and I love it. I'm in favor of public spaces that are free and open to everyone in the community and that do not involve hours and hours of loud amplified music. Actually, I'd love to learn chess. An earlier speaker talked about having chess classes. I would love to sign up for that. I have not seen that personally, but maybe it's coming. So unfortunately, Quisqueya Plaza is not much of a public space at all. It's an area gated off with police barricades, where about 90% of the space is reserved for private, for-profit restaurants. And they simply kick you out if you sit down in one of their areas without buying something, because the 3-4 tables that are reserved for the public, which is about 10% of the space, is occupied. You simply have to go somewhere else. It's not public. That's not my idea of public. For 6 to 8 months of the year and for hours on end, the entire neighborhood shakes from amplified music from the stadium-like concerts. And I'm not going to reiterate what everybody else has said about decibel levels. My apartment is located 3 blocks away and the walls boom and vibrate. Imagine what it's like to live right there. You're basically constructively evicted from your home for hours and hours a day. There should be room for all of us here. And we should have a space where we can have outdoor concerts, that are the neighborhood is notified of in advance. We really can do better and we really must do better. We are a community and our public spaces should be for the public. They should be free and open to all. We don't need to sell off our public space to private businesses, and the pursuit of profit should not trump the needs of the people of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tina. We'll have Laura Dagen Ayala.
Hi, Laura Dagan Ayala, 36 years in Inwood. I wanted to thank Carmen de la Rosa for starting us off by reminding us that we need to cherish our public space. We cannot cherish our public space if it becomes exclusively available to the restaurants for their use. And that goes for the woman who was telling us about her wheelchair-bound clients. If it becomes the exclusive property of the private of the restaurants, your clients will not be able to go there for free in their wheelchairs. I also have sympathy for the small businesses. Many small businesses closed when they pushed liquor license after liquor license after liquor license on this neighborhood, even bypassing the 500-foot rule to do so. We lost a bakery. We lost a beautiful grocery store. We lost a laundromat. We lost many things so that more and more bars could open. And then it got worse when Dyckman Street closed because, again, residents took a back seat to the owners of businesses. Now, I heard someone say that noise is a code word. Well, you know what? Code word is also a code word. We are tired. I am tired of being told that if I complain about noise, it's because I have an issue with one culture or another culture. We have an issue with noise. This is not a code word. Many of us have lived in this neighborhood for many years. We dealt with the noise from La Marina. Finally, successfully, we were able to close that down. And then Dyckman Plaza became another La Marina. We're not saying close down the plaza. No one's saying get rid of the cultural events. We're saying be good neighbors. Why were the plazas established? To enhance safety, walkability, and access to public transport while supporting community commerce and culture. All right? Public space. We're supposed to enhance pedestrian safety, prioritize walking and biking people, not cars. Yet most of these restaurants have valet parking. encouraging people to
Thank
drive.
you.
And did you say my time? Encourage local economic development by attracting foot traffic. Economic development should not
Thank you,
depend.
Laura. We'll move on to our next speaker, and this is of time. Cheryl Miller. Cheryl, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you to all that have brought this hearing tonight, specifically Tanya Bonner. My name is Cheryl Miller. I am a resident of Washington Heights, and I've lived here for 18 years now. I am also a member of the High Inwood Task Force, which was established in 2020 during COVID. I am also a senior citizen. I'm 71 years old, and I have health issues. And while I have nothing against these plazas, if they're being used for events and things like teaching people certain dancing or chess, somebody had mentioned before, but not to have all night parties in there till 11 o'clock at night. Where is the enforcement? Who is actually responsible to enforce the plazas? And I should mention, I'm right by Audubon Plaza. And I believe Councilmember De La Rosa had said at the beginning that there is no operator for that plaza. So my question is, then why were people using it very late last year, music blasting until 11 o'clock at night? And then when the police come, they say that they're not responsible to enforce it. So I would like to know who is responsible to enforce the excessive noise, who is responsible to measure the decibel levels, because the decibel levels should not be at 85 or 90. It should be much lower. People want to sleep. People have a right to sleep in their apartments, especially it doesn't matter if it's on a weekday or a weekend. So that's basically what I would like to know, who is responsible to enforcing all of these things with the plaza, specifically Audubon, if there is no operator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Joseph Kerr. Joseph, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, Joseph.
Great. My name is Joseph. I'm a social worker, actually at Harlem Hospital. I live directly above the Plaza on Dyckman. Like I'm on the 5th floor above it. And I think I just want to speak to kind of some of the experiences that I've had so far. I've been here for several years, not as long as some others, but still a resident. I love the neighborhood. Last summer, there were concerts with thousands and thousands of people. And that's no exaggeration. I've had numerous occasions where I wasn't able to have a telephone call in my own bedroom because there was music going on. And this thing that's one day a week, that's not true. It's multiple days a week, all the time. But I can't have a conversation on the 5th floor bedroom at 8 o'clock at night to talk to my mother because there are thousands of people downstairs. And feeling unsafe, leaving my apartment and walking around the corner and then there being thousands of people, that's really concerning, right? And it's not a public place. I'm not there today because I work at the hospital until 8 o'clock. And even walking past the plaza today, the restaurant even right now has areas blocked off just for those restaurants. There's grass laid out in the restaurant right now, right? There's areas that they put their chairs out right now that isn't public for us. I don't know anyone in my building, and my next door is a very elderly Dominican woman. She refuses to go to the plaza. So I think it's just those experiences that and really important. And we are graced to have really wonderful public places in this neighborhood. We are next to 2 humongous parks, right? We have all these great things right up, and instead we close off the street to private businesses who hold rallies and things for politicians. Right? I've literally been laying in my bed and I've heard oh, that's Kathy
Thank you,
Hogan
Joseph.
talking. It's really
Thank you,
unpleasant.
Joseph. Moving on to the next one, Catherine O'Sullivan.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Yeah, longtime resident of Inwood. I'm an immigrant. I'm a citizen. I'm a working, tax-paying person, and I never felt welcome on that plaza, Quisqueya Plaza. The planters, the metal planters, were jammed so tight together along the south side and the west corner opposite Mama Sushi, with all the police barricades. You'd need to run hurdles to get into the plaza if you wanted to approach it from the south side. So no, it was never a public plaza for everyone. It was a select plaza for the clients of the businesses. Now, I have a question. I have 4 screenshots of my decibel meter on my phone from June 18th, 2023. 88 decibels, 88 decibels, 88 decibels, 89 decibels. Well, guess who was partying on the plaza? It was Mayor Adams and the DOT commissioner. So who should I complain to? Who would I complain to about that? So, you know, not only is it noisy when it's happening, because Fort Tryon is a lump of rock. So it is an echo sounding board. So noise just reverberates around that neighborhood. So not only is it while the event is happening, also the day before when they're hammering the scaffolding for the stage, that, and then on the Sunday morning, or the Monday morning, when they're breaking down the stage, first thing in the morning again, more noise. It's ridiculous. And in my opinion, 311 was a really, really bad idea. I spent so much of my life calling 311. It was such a waste. And I think that was the design. You call 311 and you feel you've done something, but nothing happens. Nothing at all. I have endured the noise of that neighborhood, and it is not for everyone. It is only for certain members of the community. And that's a real shame because it should be for everyone.
Thank you,
I'm
Catherine.
absolutely.
Thank you, Catherine. We'll move on. Can we keep our comments to ourselves? Again, we're in a collaborative space. I understand we want to support each other. We'll take the claps, the applauses, but let's keep our comments to ourselves, please. Dave Tom, 2 minutes.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thanks so much. Yes, my name is Dave Tom. I immigrated to the US in 2000, lived in Inwood since 2007. My wife works in Washington Heights. We've raised our family here. Kids go to school here. It's our home. So I remember attending meetings like this from 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, etc., when we were all talking about La Marina and noise. We've been here before. Many of the speakers are talking about finding solutions, a plan, balance. The thing is that pretty much already exists. New York has been around a long time. It has developed solutions, developed plans, developed balance between competing interests. They can be found in the noise code. They can be found in the zoning regulations that are supposed to separate residential areas from concentrated nightlife. They can be found in the DOT Plaza rules. They can be found in the NYPD sound permits. The ordinances are already out there. They just aren't applied in Inwood as they are in Tribeca or Astoria or Forest Hills. The issue is the same as the issues a decade ago. It's about enforcement. Elected officials, community board members, others with positions of power need to ensure that the rules are followed in all plazas citywide equitably so that everyone can thrive as intended. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And last but not least, Tiz. Tiz, can you state your full name for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Christiane Tisdale. How are you tonight?
Hi. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Thank you. I won't even come anywhere near using it. So everyone is talking about the 85 or 80 decibels affecting hearing. It does, and I'm sure it was mentioned at least once before, affect mental health issues like depression and anxiety. So if you're wondering where some of the violence is coming from, this could be it. As the previous speaker said, there are ordinances in place. There are rules in place. And if we follow them, we can all cohabitate and work together very, very well. Thanks.
Thank you, Tiz. Okay, we'll move on with the agenda. I think at this time we'll allow our board members to ask questions if needed or to provide comments.
I have a bunch of questions, but
Come on, Bashir.
is the police inspector still with us?
Steve, come here, come to the microphone. They can't hear you.
Yeah, hi, is Inspector Portalatin still with us? Okay, Inspector Portalatin, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, very good, thank you. So a lot of questions have come up concerning enforcement. So I'm wondering, what is the precinct's approach on enforcement on the noise code? And do you have decibel meters that you can utilize? And another question here I have is, are you issuing amplified sound permits for all the events at the plazas?
So this basically, in order to get a permit, you have to go to SAPL. They give out the permits. Also DOT has a say in it. I get alerted for every permit that's applied, and I have the ability to recommend a yes or recommend a no to the permits. So I'm new to the command, and I only been here for 2 months, but every permit I go through, I vent it out. I do the research. I see if it's been going on for, in years past. Has there been any problems, any fights, any assaults, any robberies due to the events? I put my recommendation down. If it's, I recommend that this permit, this event receives a permit. Or I put my recommendation down saying that I do not recommend this permit getting approved. So that's how I'm doing it this year going on. We have one event, which one of the speakers mentioned before was in regards to the Dominican Republic tragedy with the club collapsing and multiple people lost their lives. That event was a sanctions permanent event. That event was supposed to close at 10 o'clock. It closed down at 10 o'clock. What I've been telling my community, and for those who don't know me or have not attended my community council meeting, which is the first Thursday of every month, every permit I will oblige and I will support what a SAPO does. But as the police department, we're the only ones that give sound permits. So the sound permits will match the permit that is approved, but there will be no permits for sound going past 8 o'clock at night. Victor, who is in charge of the plaza, mentioned that we have spoken many times about this. He understands the community's complaints in regards to the music, and we agree that 8 o'clock is a fair amount of time. There's no reason for music to be blasting 10, 12 hours a day, and there's no reason for the music to go past 10, 11, 1 o'clock in the morning. So we agreed to the time of 8 o'clock at night. That will be enforced by the NYPD. To answer the second part of your question, yes, we have decimal readers. We are using it. And if it goes above what is allowed, we are telling the music performers to lower the music. Obviously, we give them one chance, but if it's continuing to go past that 60 minute, then we use our legal right to shut down the event early. Knock on wood, I have not encountered that since I've been the commanding officer of this great community. And just for the people listening throughout the meeting, there is no pop-up events allowed in my command. So if you do not have a permit and you try to set up shop, I am shutting you down. That is the law. The law is made. There's no laws for special people. I did not bend the law. The law applies to everyone. So if you want to have a sanctioned permit event in the plaza, you have to apply for it through SAPO or DOT. And if they approve it, I will make sure you guys have your time and enjoy your permit, your events. And as long as everybody's safe, that's all I care about. But you will not have a pop-up event in my command without a sanctioned permit. Thank you.
Very good. And do you impose a limit on the number of hours for the amplified sound permits?
When I spoke to SAPO about this, we agreed that if they give a permit from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I'm going to allow the music from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If they give a permit that says 10 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my sound permit will match SAPO. So there's no discretion or miscommunication between the permit and the sound permit. So I will back SAPO and when the decision of how long the event will last, and I will give that time frame for the permit. That's how I'm doing it moving forward. And so far, I have no issues or any miscommunication between the event organizer and the NYPD.
Well, it might not be necessary to have amplified sound for the entire length of an event. I wish we would look into that a little further as to whether or not amplified sound is really needed for something that runs from 10 in the morning till 8 at night. I mean, I think that could be a little overbearing. So I wish you would take maybe another look at that, and maybe there could be further discussion with SAPO on that question. But and it may very well be that not every event organizer needs to have or wants to have amplified sound so early in the morning. I would hope not. So this is great. I mean, and you'll be are you sending someone to check after 8 o'clock at night to see whether or not the events have been shut down?
Absolutely. So personally, I work not every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the most of the majorities. I will be working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have an excellent executive staff that I have a captain that either works Friday, Saturday, Sunday with me, or if I'm not there, he's working. So we'll be checking the plaza every time we have an event to make sure the event organizer is following the rules of the permit that was applied and received by SAPO and the sound permits that we give out.
All right, that's a big plus. Thank you.
Yeah, so we need board members come up so that we can, of course, come up.
I'm more interested around DOT and process. My question is more around, we understand that plazas have certain rules to follow and stuff like that. Like, what's the process when concerns have been raised? And what is DOT's procedure to address them? And Steve, I actually do disagree with you on the sound permit. I think as an event organizer, you should be able to identify, because amplified sound might just mean you have an event with over 200 people and you might need a bullhorn or something, which is considered amplified sound. It doesn't necessarily mean only music. But yeah, that's my question for the DOT.
My name is Jim Berlin. I'm a member of the Traffic and Transportation Committee. You can tell by looking at me, I've been around for a while. And I heard two words tonight that are very important, and I think they are key, and I think you will all agree. One of them was the word cooperation. We all must cooperate. We are a community. We are a diverse community, and we all must cooperate. And part of that is the other half of the wonderful words I heard. We must sometimes compromise. If we don't compromise, we will not get anywhere. So insofar as we heard those words, I think we should all take them to heart. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna have Erwin and then Tanya, and then we're gonna give Kyle the floor. He has to leave. So we want to ensure that he answers all the questions. Yeah.
Hello, Erwin Fernandez, community board member. I have a quick question regarding the events. So the permits are given out, they're being hosted until about 6 p.m. and then they stop. Then there's noise afterward, right? So are we confusing noise from the events or noise by private individuals who set up in these plazas?
I'm sorry. No,
wait,
back and forth.
And how sure are you that it's not that? So that's my first question or point, because I'm confused about that. And then to Steve, I support Domingo's point. Because the amp sound, I don't know too much about amp sound, like amplifiers, but you may need sounds at certain points of an event. Like let's say 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 p.m., 4 p.m. So throughout an entire time. And if you give it to, if you limit it to a restricted time period, they may not be able to use that, whatever that amplifier is during the entire time, which might not be needed the entire time, but at different points of those events. So I support the PDs like giving those amp sound permits for an entire time period, because we don't know how long that will be needed, I guess. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I know, we don't have our perspective. I'll allow.
First, I want to make a comment. We seem to have gotten off the rails. I don't know how we got into a discussion about people playing chess and old men playing checkers and little children. No one's talking about that. We're talking about noise complaints, excessive noise and excessive noise as a public health issue. I don't know what all this other stuff is about, but it's distraction. It's a distraction. And I please ask you to please stop. Because
Yes,
but I also get the counter. And I'm counting.
I'm sorry, we're not gonna counter. I need everyone to just listen. We're not gonna counter, we're not gonna have a back and forth. Again, we want a collaborative approach.
Somebody said I was inappropriate for saying the word finger point. They said that about me. Those were my exact comments.
Yes.
I am, so
let's keep it to the questions again. Kyle will be leaving soon. Yes, Kyle will be leaving soon. I do want, again, these issues are surrounding DOT and enforcement. We have DOT here. We want him to answer as much as possible.
I have been working on this issue since 2020, and DEP was here and everybody else was here, including DOT, the same people that's sitting here right now. So we know this. Well, I was the one that asked for this hearing. Okay, so let's be clear. I didn't say it was about me. 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 Well, guess what? I'm gonna talk about you now.
Guys,
what I said was,
excuse me.
It was.
We need
No,
time.
they're not gonna do that to me.
Let me speak to them so that we.
They're not doing that to me.
Guys, it's disappointing when a community is trying to come together and figure out solutions and we just go back and forth. It is counterproductive. We're gonna respect each other's time. Tanya, you have a minute to ask any questions to DOT, NYPD, DEP. That is the purpose of this meeting.
That's the question.
Okay, so then, if you have another one, I would rather.
Want me to go down all my questions that I wrote?
Did you take
Did I
questions earlier?
Because I sent everybody a whole bunch of questions.
Okay, so we have DOT ready to respond. Tanya, if you have any last comments?
I do.
We're gonna allow you to comment. We're not going back and forth. We're not gonna attack anybody. It's not an open.
Anybody.
It's not an open argument. Not an open
I
argument.
was attacked.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We're not going back and forth. Let's go.
So, in terms of noise, when the police commander was talking about noise, you cannot just have any kind of noise you want just because you abide by the times of the permit. Even within the time of the event, you must abide by the noise code. It is not a free-for-all as people, the noise code is there for a reason. I have a question about why isn't this noise code being enforced? Why is that happening? I'm not here to argue about your feelings. It is in the books, it is on the law. I don't care about your feelings. We have rules and regulations and laws on the books that we're supposed to be enforcing when it comes to these things. Period. Why isn't that happening? Why isn't it happening just in this community? As I mentioned with that list of all the public plazas, this is the only place, this is place right here is where it's out of control and everybody's turning into a culture war. I don't understand. We're not talking about that. We're talking about public health, our elderly people who need to rest, our children who need to study, the people who need to sleep. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. So, can you give me one more to actually about them? Tanisha, we'll give you your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this important meeting. Just just a few comments. First of all, I think that if people have if people have gone through the proper channels and they get their noise permits and they have a certain time period where they can play music and all, and I'm speaking as someone who throws block parties for my community and they love it. And they love it. And it ain't no cutting the music off for a couple of hours. It's the time that we are allowed it to have music. We have music, and the time that it's supposed to go off, it goes off. I don't understand where all of this is going. Bottom line, people need permits when they're having something that's going to be extra noisy, and we need to adhere to that. Also, as someone who is almost 50 years old and has been in this community my whole life and is a kind of a loud person, our culture is to be loud. And there's a lot of people in this neighborhood, this diverse neighborhood, that like to play music, that like to be loud. So again, I think what Jim said was totally valid, that we need to come to some sort of agreement where we can all respect each other, respect each other's cultures, respect the fact that it's about to get hot and people are going to be loud, and just lay some ground rules for how we can respect each other. And the last thing that I'll say is I hear a lot of people talking about how they hear noise in their apartments. Maybe we should talk to the landlords about how not enforced our apartments are, okay? Because I hear everything that's 8 blocks away. And my very, very last point, if we're talking about noise complaints, let's talk about the sirens too, because that's what keeps me up. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kyle and Lyle. Go to your hand.
Good evening, everyone. Again, just as a reminder, my name is Kyle Gorman. I'm from the city's Department of Transportation. I work on the public realm team. We provide for all of the oversight and management of pedestrian plazas across the city. So much like a lot of the other agencies across the city government, you know, DOT's jurisdiction and the items that we can enforce upon are limited. You know, our bread and butter really is creating streets, sidewalks, bridges, tunnels, and so on. But when it comes to a lot of other types of items, especially when noise, which has been a key part of the conversation today, or unsanctioned events or illegal items that might be placed on our right of way, it does ultimately come to other agencies to enforce it. So I just wanted to clarify that DOT itself, we actually play no role in permitting any types of events. There are certain types of ancillary or extra permits entities might have to get when they are hosting an event. For example, if you're bringing in a structure that requires a crane, like for that requires coordination with DOT, but your run-of-the-mill everyday event, activities, programming, music, much of the items that we've had a conversation about tonight, really DOT doesn't play a role with issuing those permits or any enforcement of any violation of those permits first and foremost. Let me just finish and we'll go to questions. So that's just a point of clarification that I wanted to make. Secondly, we did promulgate in 2016, which basically means issue rules that, as we've talked about, and I think one of the speakers on Zoom tonight had said that these rules are on the books. So it is entirely enforceable for someone who's violating the terms of their permit, or as Tanya mentioned, in violating the sort of noise code generally. Those are enforceable items. So it's great to hear that my colleagues at the police department are ready, willing, and able to enforce those violations as they come up moving forward in the future. The other items that I wanted to mention specific to Quisqueya Plaza, as Victor noted, we had a really great meeting on site the other day talking about how can we really continue to promote this as a community public space. And a few different things that we landed on that I want to reiterate that Victor had mentioned include we're going to be reconfiguring all of the planters on the plaza to allow for better pedestrian circulation and better use of the community for the plaza. So as you know, in the part of the plaza where all of the planters are adjacent to the rain garden, they're sort of positioned in such a way that doesn't allow for a lot of permeability for people to walk essentially from where the rain garden is into Quisqueya Plaza or to where the restaurants are across the bike lane. So that's a very, small but mighty win that I think is really going to help with some of the pedestrian circulation and the use. Secondly, we'll be adding a lot more tables and chairs in the plaza for community use. We spoke with Victor, and as it stands right now, no restaurants are going to be setting up in Quisqueya Plaza. So on the sort of tan part of the street, the former street where the angled parking was, there will no longer be outdoor dining on that part of the plaza for now. When there is no outdoor dining by the restaurant set up, we're going to be putting in tables and chairs for anyone to use. And I want to reiterate, that is for anyone to use. It is not exclusive seating to any particular business or organization. This is something that DOT provides to our partners at Quisqueya Plaza and actually pays a contractor to set that furniture up on a daily basis, the Horde, which I think a few of you have heard about before. All of the seating that's on the sidewalk, where there's awnings, that is through the dining out program, and those restaurants need to apply for a sidewalk license in order to participate. So that is separate and distinct from the plaza. And as Victor also mentioned, we're going to be doing a really big cleanup day. We welcome anyone who wants to come out and help us clean up the space to keep the community beautiful, of course. But we'll be throwing away any of those items that have really been a great amenity, but it is maybe time for them to go. So any of the accumulated large debris, structures, and so on, those will be deconstructed and removed from the plaza, really adding a lot more space for tables and chairs, public programming, and so on. And as Victor noted, he's been working a lot with the local stakeholders and the police precincts and other agencies on, right-sizing the approach when it comes to community events and programming. As we've heard tonight, these types of items are divided. We have a lot of people who like the programming, and we have a lot of people who maybe have taken issue with certain elements of it. So really, moving forward, I think first and foremost, this approach is all about balance, working in close coordination with all of our agency partners, working with Dykeman Gardens, and all of our plaza partners across Washington Heights. And the last thing that I'll mention about Quisqueya Plaza in particular is that that particular plaza was done in 2021 with what we consider interim materials. So you notice one day we just came out and painted the street, did new markings, put up planters, and it was sort of opened within a few hours. DOT, through our capital budget, has been able to fully fund the permanent build out of the plaza using permanent materials. Many of you might be familiar with the plaza that's on 188th Street with the Yeshiva University. That is a plaza that went through a capital construction process where the sidewalks are removed, everything is at the same grade, there's permanent elements that are added into the plaza, there's amenities that can be added, and we'll have a whole community conversation about that when the time comes. But the one thing I do want to note that I think people might be interested to hear as a sort of turning point, let's say, is that the plaza will effectively have to close for 18 months during the construction process. City construction projects generally take 1 to 2 years within our plaza portfolio, at least. That's a really great time for us to reset. We'll have a little bit of construction, which is always, of course, annoying to navigate. But I want to reiterate that it's a point to reset, reconvene, and continue to work together to continue to promote this plaza as a community public space and all of our public spaces across Washington Heights. So that's just a little bit of the sort of coordination that DOT is doing, which I just want to reiterate must be done in close coordination with our agency partners. So we'll start with him because he had a question first, then we'll go to you and then you.
I'm sorry, before you're gonna ask the questions, I was gonna answer. We're not gonna go back and forth. If you decide that you want to get argumentative, disrespectful, we are going to remove you from the room. Respectfully. Thank you.
My question is more around I understand you saying it by saying that it's a multi-agency approach, but DOT is the one that creates these plazas. So while you expect other agencies to enforce, the process of creation, picking the partner, everything goes through DOT. So I think it's pretty irresponsible on DOT's part to just brush off the responsibility it has since it created it, saying that other partners are responsible for this, that, and the third. And I say this to follow up with, while I understand Quisqueya Plaza's a main point of the individuals you're talking about noise, I'm here more concerned about the other plazas who are in poor conditions, not taken care of, partners are leaving, but yet you create them. So my biggest question, and I'll wrap up with this, as we understand issues arise, what's the process again, right? For saying this area is gonna be a plaza to study, bringing in the community, because obviously you're not, if after the situation unfolds, what you say is responsibility falls to different agencies brushing it off when you created it. You get what I'm trying to say? So that's what I want to understand a little better.
Yeah, I totally hear you. And I just want to, go back to the point that I made at the top of the conversation when I first began to speak. DOT, our jurisdiction and our enforcement powers are limited by the city charter. So, for example, we set the speed limit, but we don't enforce the speed. So if someone is speeding down XYZ road, it's up to the police department or another agency to enforce upon those rules. That is just the basics of how our city government is set up, and that is not specific to plazas or anything in particular. It's just basically how our city government is run.
I understand that.
So I let you speak. I let you speak.
I think it's extremely important to understand what studies are being conducted and how the community is.
So I'm trying to answer your question because you asked two questions.
I'm trying to brush it off, bro. Like, you don't come.
Domingo, please, let's keep it, so go ahead, Carl, argue. No, yes, please, Domingo.
Well, he just told me I was full of shit, so I'm not gonna respond
Domingo.
to his question.
We'll have a conversation offline. Go ahead, we'll start with him and we'll go to Haiti.
This all comes down to
I
one
need-
thing. What is sound reinforcement, large sound reinforcement equipment doing in front of an apartment building when you have the facility directly across the street that has been working very well for decades without problems like this? Before you start your 18 months construction, you're still gonna have sound reinforcement equipment in there. I'm a musician and a bass player. I know what the problem is. I'm not a guy in a diner. Sound reinforcement equipment does not belong in front of a residential building. That's the problem. If you eliminate that, you solve the problem. If you put it a couple of 100 feet, yeah, it moves from DOT to the Department of Parks and Recreation. DOT doesn't need this. The neighborhood doesn't need it. It needs the space to do what it needs to do. The space has been there right in front of your eyes. The stage, the electricity, the bathroom, the track, the seating, the ample amount of room for all of this. It's already there. You don't need an 18-month program. Move the program across the street and we can deal with whatever limits there are. By the way, when I asked the police department to turn down sound and all like that, they say there's no sound limit in the contract, in the permit. They can't do anything about it.
Thank you.
Sound reinforcement
We're gonna move on to the
equipment
next question unless you wanna answer that.
Sound reinforcement equipment doesn't.
I'm sorry, but that's it. Do you wanna answer? Again, he's gonna answer questions. We don't want the back and forth.
He moved across the street.
Hold on, we heard your question. Yes, council member.
Suggesting is that stop this playground.
Yeah.
Say,
It's there.
I'm sorry, no back and forth. You're gonna let the council member answer.
that is not an option. The playground is a playground, and that already existed when La Marina's concession existed in the community, and the community had it shut down. It does not work, and it's not on the table at this time.
It was working for.
I'm sorry, no back and forth. She answered your question. We're gonna move forward. Go ahead, Sandra.
Restaurant owner Plaza.
I'm sorry.
Now that you mentioned that Plaza is gonna take 18 months for you to construct. So have you thought about what's gonna happen to us as a restaurant owner? Because I would think you're gonna have construction for 18 months and for the next. How am I gonna survive?
So we will work closely with the Department of Design and Construction, DDC, who is very accustomed to working with small businesses anytime that there are large or small construction projects in front of their businesses. And, they have definitely community advocates and resources with SBS that can help you out during that time. I definitely sympathize and I understand it's not easy, but
It's not fine. I mean, we're not gonna be able to survive. And the other plaza that you mentioned on 187, it's great, but there's no businesses around it. but visibly, you have 6 or 7 businesses, which now 4 of those businesses have gone. And they're no longer there.
Yeah, and like, I'll just reiterate the point that I made, you know, we're used to working closely with small businesses, for example. You know, we've done capital projects in places like Times Square, which is obviously maybe not exactly like Quisqueya Plaza, and also very small neighborhood plazas that also have businesses that front them. So we're accustomed to working with businesses during these difficult times.
Thank you. Heidi?
You mentioned that one of your responsibilities is to basically oversee your plaza partners, so I was wondering if you could describe a little bit more of what oversight means in this context. So for example, the plaza partner is maybe enabling activity that's not allowed in the plaza. Does that mean that you might switch a plaza partner? How does that work in terms of, is there a mechanism to ensure that the plaza partner is abiding by all the regulations about noise and et cetera?
Yeah, so we of course work closely with our agency partners to ensure that our partners are not in violation of any other agencies, laws, regulations, guidelines, and so on. When it comes to oversight and management, that really comes down to really the day-to-day sort of operations and maintenance. So that's the sweeping, the cleaning, the horticulture care, the pressure washing, setting up furniture, taking it down, umbrellas, and so on. So really that is what our primary focus is on when it comes to oversight and management. Obviously, events, programming, activities, art installations, what have you, are an important part of that. And I want to make it also clear, we work incredibly closely with SAPO, with the police department, with the fire department, with all of the agencies across the alphabet to ensure that our partners are following through on their bargains. But at the end of the day, too, to Victor's point, like, the plaza partners are not always the ones who are coordinating everything there. So our plaza partners really at the end of the day actually have no, enforcement power when it comes to something that is unsanctioned, but they can of course report it to us and we can go to NYPD and so on.
All right, we're gonna go over here and then we're gonna go over there. And then we're gonna take 3 more questions to move it on. Tanya asked you a couple questions. Want to make sure you answer that. And we'll move on. So we'll start. He had his hand raised, that we'll go over there, then here, and then she had a question. Yes.
Not because of the complaint. No, but I'm saying that the complaints in the community persisted, even though there was a parks concession and concerts and other things happened there. So what I was suggesting to the gentleman, my point was that will not work. Us having concerts off this playground.
I'm sorry, no going back and forth. He's answering the question.
But if the noise isn't off this playground, it's on Broadway. I don't see how that solves the issue. That's true.
It's further away from the buildings.
But it's closer to Arden Street, right? Yeah.
It's further away.
We're not going back and forth. Again, Councilmember, answer the questions. We'll move out. If we keep getting out of order, I'm gonna have the security remove you.
But also I should say, I don't represent the Parks Department, so we should have that conversation with the Parks Department. I believe, my opinion is that putting a concert in and off this playground does not solve the issue that you're talking about. What it will happen is that we will get complaints from Arden Street, from Thayer Street, about the same thing. So that is my opinion, but I do not represent the parks. I'm simply the council member. We can have that conversation with the Parks Department.
Thank you. We're gonna go over here.
2 quick questions. When will the visioning of the new plaza start? Because I think there should be community input, is that right?
That's right.
And when will that
Probably in the next year or so.
happen? Okay, so a while.
The capital project is still years away,
Okay.
and outreach precedes the development.
And then
Very
the
important.
so I'm assuming, since you said the restaurants are not gonna be taking over plaza space for their seating this year. Does that mean the plaza is not included in the pilot program that they want to put through where restaurants can have designated space? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. No, yeah, that makes sense. So one thing that I didn't mention is that DOT did also recently, it came up in a few, I think in Tanya's remarks, about DOT did just propose a rule change to the plaza and open streets rules that will allow for businesses to have exclusive seating in up to 33%, so just 1/3 of the pedestrian plaza or open street space for exclusive seating. So that means for table service, for dining, and so on. We are still in the rulemaking process for that. The hearing was about a week and a half ago, I believe. And we got a lot of comments. We heard a lot at the hearing, and we're sort of gonna just distill all of that and decide what ultimate changes needs to be made to those rules before we release the final ones. And then, once that happens, I think we'll revisit Castella Plaza and seating.
I'm sorry to talk. Can you step to the microphone to ask the question? Our people on Zoom can hear. You can come up. I should have done that earlier. And let's limit, I'm sorry, for essence of time and participation, one question per guest. We also have email addresses we can provide, the board office, reach out to us, and we do a lot of the legwork. So we're here again to collaborate.
Thank you. My name is Ted Gallagher, 42 years in Inwood. Dykeman Gardens said, if I'm correct, that they have no idea who gets to use Inwood for an amplified music event in the same weekend that they have their event. I'm saying to you, we have no idea who is an authority here, who makes the rules, who coordinates with Dykeman Gardens. Why are there two events in one weekend? Why are we subjected to this chaos? Thank you. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense. We cannot have two events in 1 week. Give priority to Dykeman Gardens. If they want to be responsible partners with the community, encourage that. Don't let some rigmarole outfit come in and ruin the entire weekend. It is irresponsible.
Thank you.
Oh, and why can't we hear about events
I'm sorry.
beforehand? We need to know what events are happening before they're happening.
We're gonna go on to.
Street Activities Permit Office is a mayoral office. That is the office that will issue permits outside of Dykeman Gardens. Those permits are supposed to be posted publicly online.
Thank you.
Right, I'll just add though that SAPO doesn't typically post them before. That is something maybe legislatively to explore. And just the last thing I wanted to mention, just because I do have to leave, I live an hour and a half away from here, so I wanna be home at a reasonable hour, so. Hopefully, yeah, so I live by the fire department. Someone was talking about the fire department, so I was like, I live by loud places too. My suggestion, and this is to Tanya and to the community board, is I think it would be a really great conversation to have with Manhattan Community Board 3 in Lower Manhattan. They historically, I think much like Uptown, have had a lot of issues with unpermitted events, amplified sound, enforcement, and so on. So I'm happy to sort of set up a conversation with all of our entities, because they've done a really great job with SAPO, with the police department saying, we're only going to issue permits on these terms. We're only going to issue amplified sound permits on these terms. And the district manager, she's very involved with the SAPO's CEMS database and giving the comments in. So I think really as a next step, it would be a great sort of learning experience and knowledge sharing opportunity between the two community boards, because they have really got it down pat and operationalized. And I'll connect all of us to that.
We have one more question coming from this end, and then Captain Diaz has something for our chair. Okay. Go ahead. If you can come up, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How are we determining that this sound is actually coming from? Also, as I say, I'm on 213 Sherman Avenue, and I have the same complaint on sound. At 5 p.m., when I'm leaving Nuevo Siglo Adult Daycare Center, which is a senior center, I provide services for senior center. I work hand in hand with the Department of the Aging, which is also a New York City agency. So, and every day as I'm leaving work, especially at this time, it's not even summertime yet, and I'm already hearing the same sounds that they're hearing on Dykeman. So how are we determining that this sound is actually coming from this plaza?
Yeah, I don't.
Can I answer that? Am I allowed to answer that?
We can have these conversations.
Kyle, with all due respect.
We can have this conversation, Kyle.
May I respond very quickly?
Let me just be the voice of reason. I think that it is fair to say that there have been some unsanctioned events at Quisqueya Plaza with very loud sound. That is a truth. That is definitely has happened. But to the last speaker's point, amplified sound, noise pollution is a citywide problem. There are two separate issues that are happening at the same time. So it is true that there have been issues in the past at Quisqueya Plaza, but it is also true that at the citywide scale, noise pollution, amplified sound issues are also prevalent.
This is a comment based on what the Quisqueya Garden folks and you guys shared about the commitments in terms of moving forward for this summer. My question is, it's great to hear that a lot of progress, or not question, I guess my suggestion. There's a lot of progress there, but who else is gonna know that wasn't present or that's watching the YouTube or wasn't in that meeting? And so it's incredibly important, I think, that there be placards installed that like DOT could do that easily on all of the plazas that say like, this plaza is operated by what group? Contact information, like where can people understand what these commitments are for accountability if there's no way to find that? You know, so at least even if it's a laminated card that Quisqueya Garden gotta do, but put that up because this, especially I would say because Audubon Plaza doesn't have someone. And so no one's gonna know who to turn to and then you get the Spider-Man meme, so that's it.
I wanted to say a couple of words about decibels and don't have the eyes glaze over because it's sounding.
Yeah, we're only entertaining questions because he has to leave.
Does Sapo have any decibel limits on their permits at all?
So Sapo is not here to answer that question.
Isn't that convenient?
We invited them, obviously it's government agency. They have other events to occur. They're all over New York City. But, all right, let's go to the next question.
All right, so the noise code is not being enforced.
I totally understand the decibel thing. I think that the biggest violator of noise is really the honking, like, sorry. My question is, will the businesses using the 33%, will they be paying some sort of concession, some sort of like rent for using that space in lieu of public being able to use it?
So the very basic premise of exclusive seating in plazas and open streets relies on a concession agreement. DOT offers concession agreements to our plaza partners and open streets partners with the other premise of maintenance in lieu of a fee. So we do not charge our plaza or open streets partners a fee to be able to do this activity, but our plaza partners or open streets partners through a sub-concession agreement can charge the individual restaurants to be able to set up in the plaza. They are able to set those fees, but the ultimate end of the day piece is that any of the revenue that's generated by these concession fees must be reinvested into the plaza. I think there's been a lot of chatter about the lucrative nature of public space in New York City. Let me tell you, no one is making money in a lucrative way when it comes to our pedestrian plazas. It actually costs a lot of money and time to manage these spaces. So this concession model is really going to have a revenue generating opportunity where those businesses pay into a fund to a nonprofit partner, and then those funds have to be 100%, not 99, not 85, not anything less, 100% must be reinvested into the maintenance and operations of these spaces.
So we have two more questions that we're fielding. I'm gonna allow Tanisha and Tanya, we're gonna wrap it up with you.
Yeah, I got a question, Chair. What's noise pollution? Can I get a definition, please? What's that?
Oh, can I answer that question? No, I can't answer that question.
I think we should stick to.
Okay, so my question was to you. Was that we a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, contacted, we actually had a meeting set up with SAPO and with the Plaza, some of the Plaza people, and it was DOT that would not participate. The SAPO, the head of SAPO was ready to go. The Plaza managers at the time were ready to go. I have the emails to prove that. And DOT refused to participate with the noise task force in that smaller discussion. And that was about 2 years ago. I can look at my emails to find out. Can we have, because I didn't get to ask any of my questions, and I'm actually the person that asked for this hearing. Is there a way that you all will be willing to participate in a smaller meeting with the noise task force, as we had tried to set up a couple years ago with SAPO, to ask these questions that we have as a group regarding noise in the plazas, sticking to that topic of noise in the plazas? Because I don't know why that was squashed, but we did try and they were willing. So I don't know what happened tonight, but they were willing. I had them on email. They were like, I'm ready to go. So what can we do? And as far as noise, can I share my screen one quick second? Oh, this, thank you. Okay, what I wanted to show you was a book that just came out. Thank you for your patience. This book called, if you had a question about noise pollution and what it is, it's called How Noise Took Over the World and How We Can Take It Back. It's called Clamor. That person did interview me, Dr. Arlene Bronzap, and some other people. This community is also mentioned in that book. If you want to know about noise and why it matters and why alleviation of noise matters, what noise pollution is. We're all about education as a task force. So we can speak with authority about what we're talking about. So I suggest, people can look into that book if they want to read it and find out more.
Thank you.
Thank
Go ahead.
you.
Absolutely, yes, we're happy to join a smaller meeting.
I would appreciate that, because I really did try 2 years ago and I reached out and we were already discussing. I would really appreciate that. I'm gonna reach out to you.
I know you got my email, so
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna connect you with.
We're done. We're done. Okay, so, Steve, do you have any last comments?
Well, I would say,
I'll wrap it up.
I would say that we're gonna have to reconvene after tonight and discuss possible action that could be taken perhaps by the community board. And I think I see one possible suggestion that Mr. Gallagher made about maybe SAPO should not be issuing back-to-back permits when Dyke Gardens have an event. Maybe there should be an event on the very next day as well. Maybe we should spare people in that neighborhood give them some relief during the weekends. So to me, at this point, that's possibly one avenue we should explore. But there are other things, and we should take a look at review our notes from tonight and reconvene and think about how we should proceed. Thank you.
Thank you again. I want to thank Councilmember De La Rosa again for participating in the conversation. Again, these conversations aren't easy. It takes the community. That's why we're here, to figure out and bring solutions to the table. I want to ensure that moving forward, we don't come back and forth at each other. Nothing is, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. We can't get nothing done if we just come to the table and shout words at each other because we disagree. We all have opinions, they differ in their own ways, but we want to make sure that we work together to come up with solutions. So I hope that you guys really take that into consideration. Whenever we have these hearings, we're willing to hear everyone. We want to give everyone their platform to say their opinion and how they feel, but we have to respect each other. Right. We're adults. We are capable of understanding each other. That being said, I invite you guys to come to our committee meetings, our community board meetings. These conversations don't happen once in a while. These conversations happen often. It's 50 of us willing to entertain and discuss things, and we all look for solutions as a group in partnership with the agencies, partnership with CBOs, with stakeholders, with the precincts, with the council member, elected officials. So we encourage you guys to come to our meetings so that we can continue these conversations. I also encourage you to speak to the partners at the plazas, right? The restaurants, if you have an issue, these restaurants are great. They've kept our community alive for years. You don't know these restaurants outside of these small events that you see that are once in a while. I encourage you to go to the restaurant, speak to the owners, Tell them their complaints. They're actually very helpful and very willing to work with you guys. All right, lastly, I just want to say thank you again to the agencies, Lyle, Kyle from DOT, Humberto for DP, the inspector from the 34th precinct. We appreciate your time, and thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Motion to